Welcome back. There is a live look outside from the Oregon coast. That's our Inn at Spanish Head Resort Hotel camera in Lincoln City. Thanks for watching Afternoon Live. When our next guest was unexpectedly diagnosed with breast cancer, she felt flooded with emotions. Now, as a breast cancer survivor, she's helping others navigate this difficult diagnosis. We welcome breast cancer support coach Adriana McColloch. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Can you tell us a little bit of your journey?
Yeah, so I was diagnosed at 41. It was my first mammogram.
Wow.
There were no lumps, no detectable lumps, I should say. No family history. It was just a let's go in and get you a baseline. And I was told right then and there that I had cancer. And a couple of days later, it was I was announced that it was stage 2 invasive ductal. So it was a huge, upheaval of my life.
Well, good for you for getting it done in the first place, right?
Yes.
That's
absolutely.
Good encouragement for everybody out there, even if you don't think you're at risk. So tell me about walking through that journey and then kind of the other side, realizing that you could support people who are going through it now.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very long journey. It still, honestly, it still feels like I'm in this journey. I think it's kind of a lifelong journey for me personally. It was hard. It was during COVID. It was kind of the peak of COVID. It was October of 2020. So I had to do a lot of it alone. Like my husband would actually have to drop me off outside of the hospital. So I'm a very social person, luckily, and I just made friends with all of the nurses, talked to whoever I could just to find support literally right then and there. But what I was saddened by was just feeling like the emotional support wasn't really there, just in how our society supports breast cancer. And so that's just what led me to thinking that, maybe that's something that I could do. I've been a life coach since 2006, so I just started talking to people and kind of putting my tools to use.
That's so great. And unfortunately, a lot of people can use the help because so many women are going through this in some form.
Yes, unfortunately, yes.
Let's talk about some specific tips that you have for people who maybe have been newly diagnosed. Like number one is find your community.
Yes, that was something that I wasn't able to do immediately. A little bit, I should say. I reached out to people over the phone, but community is so important. It makes you feel less scared. It makes you feel less alone. It makes you feel less isolated, which a diagnosis, especially at a younger age, can really instantly do. You kind of feel isolated from your peers, but also if you do have the energy or the courage to go to an event or a gathering, and if you don't feel represented there, you can feel very isolated again and kind of retract. So I always say keep searching. Your community is out there. I did just recently start a nonprofit called Love League, and that is exactly what we're all about, is community for young to midlife adults, working around mental health and just finding each other and still learning how to love life as much as we can.
I love that. Yeah, if you don't find it right away, keep looking.
Keep looking, and I know it's hard.
Yeah,
but it's worth it for sure.
Feel the feels.
Yes.
All the feels.
Feel all the feels. I know this isn't always fun, but it's a traumatic event. Getting diagnosed with any kind of cancer. So those emotions are coming up for a reason, and they can be overwhelming. Get help if you need it, but absolutely feel the feels. It's important for sure, and it's going to make after active treatment very. It's going to make it a little easier to get through, because that actually can be a harder time for a lot of people emotionally after active treatment.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, and what about listening to your own intuition?
Listen to your intuition. I say this because you're going to have a lot of outside opinions, a lot of unsolicited advice, and not always, with ill intention, but it's really easy to kind of get misguided. So what is the right decision for you is the right decision for you. So I always say, do your research, preferably not on Google or Reddit.
Right.
And just, try and quiet yourself, shut out the external noise, and listen to what feels like the best decision for you. Because there are going to be a lot of decisions that you're going to have to make.
Yeah, take in the vetted information, and then you know yourself and you know your body.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, how about this one? Lean into what cancer can show you. And this is kind of like an if it's possible situation.
Yeah, this is not always a popular one.
Yeah.
And I say if it's possible because it's just not for everybody. But I like to kind of view it as I couldn't help that I had cancer. That just was my reality. And so I wanted to learn from it as much as possible. And so I just kind of used it as a tool to see in what ways I would maybe want to change my life, or in what ways I want to grow, something like that. And so more people can do it, or have done it, that I've worked with, than you would imagine. But just if it feels right for you. It doesn't have to be a huge life-altering change. Sometimes it can be for people, but sometimes it can just be like, I want to be outside more.
There you go. A little perspective shift can come in lots of forms. Okay, this is interesting. Have things to say at the ready.
Yes. So you get asked a lot of things from the outside world. It's very overwhelming, especially when you're active treatment. You're at the doctor all the time. You're getting so much information. And someone will come up to you and be like, how are you? And sometimes you're just like, I don't know. Or people will say, you know, what can I do to help? That's a big one that I know it's not always the first thing we think about, but for a lot of people, it's actually, they don't know how to answer, because they're like, I don't even know how to help myself. So I always say, for those like kind of more common questions, just have something at the ready that feels good for you. And that way, when you do get asked, you can either be like, I'm not great, but I don't want to talk about it today, or like, how much time do you have? I do want to talk about it. Or I'm surviving, you know, and if you want food, just be like, actually, can you just drop food off at my house?
Why not?
You know, that's what it was. That was one for me.
I was like,
that's
just
huge.
Feed
my family.
I want to quickly touch on a couple of things that support people can help with, like keeping the focus on the person who is actually going through the treatment. Full stop.
It can be hard. Well, again, the advice, people are like, well, I think you should do this. And again, no ill intention, but just remember, you can always ask too, are you looking for solutions, or do you want me to just listen?
Exactly.
You know,
well, and you also mentioned this earlier, that cancer is not done at the end of active treatment, and we can support each other in perpetuity. It's just going to be part of our story. Thank you so much for being here. It was so great chatting with you.
Of course.
Great information. We will have more on our website at katu.com. We'll be right back with more Afternoon Live right after this.